oh my God, reparations. What is this? Reparations for what? Do I get money too? I'm Irish. My Irish ancestors were enslaved, dude. We're hearing all types of gibberish. We're hearing everything. We're seeing a lot of pushback on the comments. And that made me want to start this space and see if anybody here, some of these people who follow from the dominant society in particular, do they have a legitimate opposition to reparations? Because usually when people oppose reparations, the claims are so trollish sounding. It seems like people know they don't really have a decent, legitimate debunking of why we as foundational Black Americans should get reparations. There's not really a legitimate retort. There's not any legitimate rebuttals. And I would like to hear from some people. Now, I know most of you are for reparations, right? Most of the brothers and sisters here. But I would like to hear from the dominant society. Do we have any people in the dominant society who are like, hey, reparations? Oh, my God. No, dude. Let's keep it a buck. I would like to hear a legitimate retort. I would like to hear a legitimate reason that people would have for not paying foundational Black Americans, the people of the descendants who built this country from scratch. Why shouldn't we get the compensation that has been systematically and generationally denied? I would literally like to talk to some people from the dominant society, or even people within our society. Y'all raise your hand. Let me know if you're in here. All right. And while we're waiting on some folks from the dominant society to come on through, let's get this. This is the aren't you the sickly dude right here? This is the sickly guy, I think. Hold on. This is the little sickly guy who called up the other day. Riley?
Riley,
Riley, are you doing better, Riley? This is, and for those who don't know, this person he called up, I thought it was a woman because his little voice was kind of weaselly, but it's actually a sickly man. So, Riley, what's going on? What's on your mind?
yo, salute to you, Tariq. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you? Okay.
I'm doing great.
There you go. So, what's on your mind?
So, Tariq, as you know, I'm FBA. I'm not opposed to reparations. I just think like your plan is kind of silly and it won't work.
Okay, so what plan will work? You school me.
So for one, Pan Africanism speaks.
No, 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 wait, no, 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 no. Because don't troll promote. Okay, you're troll promoting right now. Don't do that.
Okay.
Don't troll
I
promote.
won't bring up his name. I know you're scared of him.
Don't troll.
I won't bring up his
Don't troll promote. You're trying to promote trolling, and you're trolling right now. Don't do that. That's corny. Okay, we're not troll promoting. All right, let's stop the troll promoting. All right. So, do you have a legitimate strategy, or you just here to troll promote?
No, I have a legitimate
Let's hear
strategy.
that. Okay, let's hear that. But what you won't do, and I know you're sickly, I know you're probably in a wheelchair, and I know you're on a little breathing machine, but I'll come in and unplug your goddamn machine if you play on my phone. Okay? You'll be like a fish out of water, just gasping for air, nigga. So now, give me a legitimate strategy if you have one.
So my issue with you
okay, I didn't ask you what your issue with me was. I asked you for an oppositional strategy. You said my strategy doesn't work. So I want you to tell me a strategy that will work. All right? What will work?
Okay. So being real here, we have to theoretically change the economy first. Because if you think about it, my understanding is your plan entails that we pay
okay, black. You keep going back to what I'm doing. You said it won't work. So what are you doing? You said change the economy. That's vague as hell. How do you change the economy, and how does that get us specific reparations as foundational Black Americans? You're about to babble right now, sir.
Building Black-owned businesses, for one.
Okay. How do we do that and we don't have the compensation that we need?
Economic incentives would be a good start.
Right, which is reparations. That's what reparations are, economic incentives that are owed. Those incentives are actually owed to us. We're supposed to get them, right?
Oh yeah, of course. But you also have to take into consideration that theoretically, if you give people a bunch of cash, but no way to really invest it in their communities, uh, that's not going to turn out great, will it?
Yeah, they give other people cash when Hispanics and all of these other immigrant groups come over here. They give them cash. They give them financial incentives. They take care of them, and it's working for them. So why wouldn't it work for us?
I don't think it's really working for Hispanics. I
How
mean,
the
you
hell it
you
ain't?
also have
How is it not?
what
In LA, the Hispanics are running the political structure, and they're running it like white supremacists right now. How is that not working for them?
white Hispanics are, but like you think about, let's take Native Americans for instance. Native Americans have been given like free education, cash grants, land reservations, and they're still one of the most economically deprived constituencies in the entire
Man,
United States.
stop it. Native Americans, they have those casinos, and they ball the hell out with those casinos. They ball out.
Okay,
They got plenty of money. They get tax free status, most of them, and most of them ain't even real Native American. You have a bunch of white people pretending to be Native American. A story just came out today about another one of these damn $5 Indians. In 1973, there was an actress. Well, not only I think she was an actress. She hopped on the Academy Awards. Um, Her name was Sasheen Littlefeather. All right. And she was one of these people who hopped on stage to get an award for Marlon Brando for The Godfather in Native American garb. And for like 50 years, she's been running around here talking about she's a Native American and representing the Apaches. She recently died, and now her family's telling the truth. They're like, that bitch wasn't no Native American. She was Mexican. She wasn't Native American at all. Didn't have one drop of Apache blood in her. So these people go out here, fake the funk, pretend, and then get all of these benefits, pretending to be some type of ethnic other. So that's a finesse game. So the people who are claiming Native American, they get all types of benefits from the Native American minority status, and then they get the benefits of white supremacy by being white. They take them feathers off and they just blend in with white society. So that whole poor Indian thing, ain't buying it, brother. Go ahead.
no, if I may continue, um, Tariq, you're kind of ignoring my point. Native Americans, uh, if you look at the statistics, they have high rates of domestic violence, of alcoholism, of poverty. I think 1 in 4 have Native American have experienced rape as well. Like these
Okay, and
people,
they still get a gang of money, dude. They Everybody ain't raping and everybody ain't drunk. I've been on them reservations. They got their own police force. They have their own hospitals. They have their own schools. Okay, so that balances all of those rapings and drunkards. That balances all of that out. So I don't know where you're going with that. They're doing okay, dude. They're doing
no,
fine.
I'm saying like they're getting all this. They're getting all this cash, all this, free education, and it's not really helping their people
It
because
is
they're not
helping them.
building up their communities.
Dude, if you got a casino and tax-free status, oh, you damn sure Skippy is helping you. You got your own police force that's federally funded. Yeah, that's working out for them. That's why they ain't complaining. They're not saying, hey, y'all stop giving us all this money and all of these free land allotments. They're not complaining. They're doing
It's
perfectly
it's
fine. Okay,
working
they
out
saying.
for the people running their tribe. And
Okay, all right. I'm not hear no babbling. Don't sit up and tell me I'm not listening to no bad faith argument. Them Native Americans are doing fine. They are doing just fine. But them casinos, man, please. Don't tell me about some drunk Native American and then the other ones got these casinos that they're running and they making money hand over fist. Every week you see a concert at one of these Indian casinos, balling out. Coming to Pachanga this weekend. Keith Sweat and the Whispers. Yeah, they making that Keith Sweat money. They getting the Whispers money, that Evelyn Champagne King money. Don't let these people fool you to make you think there's a bunch of poor Native Americans just laying around drunk on a reservation. They are balling out. Many of them are balling. You give me a damn casino. Give me that. I want to be casino poor if that's the case. If they're doing bad and they got these casinos and tax free status, Don't let people run that con game, guys. Don't let them run that con. All right, let's get some more folks. Let me talk to you. Let me see what's up, Richard Sudan, my UK brother. Richard, you know what, Richard? I need you to help me because I know you're over there in the UK. Richard, can you help me find out when they're going to lift the ban um, from me over there in the UK? Because my family's been wanting to go over there. I want to go over there and kick it with the UK brothers and sisters. Richard, it would be great if you can assist me with that. Help me reach out to some of the people at the Home Office out there. Because it was when we were trying to contact them, it was just so many people we had to go through. It was just a labyrinth of whole different names and people and titles, and it's really difficult to find out what's what. All I know is that I can't go over there, and I would like to see if we can rectify that because I do want to go over there and chop it up with the UK brothers and sisters. At one point, I hope I'm not banned for life from going over there because I've not done anything to warrant that. You dig? So let me get some people in here who actually oppose reparations. Do we have any people in here who have some reservations about Foundation of Black Americans getting reparations? Belo, hop on, man. You're raising your hand. What's up, Belo? Belo?
Tariq,
What's up,
what's
man?
up, fam? Let me put my headphones on. Man, I've been trying to holler at you forever, daddy.
What's going on with it, player?
I ain't got to you, big dog. I ain't opposed to the reparations, dog, but I do want to show you love. I've been following you probably since 10. No lie. When I didn't even know what you look like, big dog. You got there on Mac lessons. I used to have to just download the fucking sessions. But anyway,
Right.
fuck all that. I wanted to ask you though, while we getting the rep, I'm FBA by the way, big dog. I'm originally from North
Right.
Carolina. I don't got no immigrant background. You know what I'm saying? No family.
And by the way, you coming to the event next week, Saturday? You coming to the rally?
Not gonna lie to you, nah, cause I only get to see my moms once a year. So I'll be in Alabama for Thanksgiving for them for the whole month. So I'm not even gonna. I
Okay.
only get I stay in San Antonio by myself. So like when I get my one vacation, I go see Mom Dukes, and then it just happened
Got
that y'all moved it to that day.
Got it. Okay, brother. Got it. Okay, thank you, brother. Let me land your plane because I got to get some people who's going to get on the subject here. I don't want to get off subject. Y'all don't raise your hand if y'all trying to get way off the subject. And much respect to you, brother. Yeah, your brother kept raising his hand like he wanted to chime in on the topic. Let's get T. The guy T. He has his hand up. We got a bad habit of getting way off topic. What's up, T?
What's up? Yeah, so I'll speak quickly to it. I think one of the main reasons why there shouldn't be reparations is because most of the Anglo-Saxon residents in this country today don't have a direct lineage towards slave ownership. Just by the statistic that over 90% of white Southerners, even at the heyday of slavery, did not own slaves, and many of them were working as subsistence farmers with no property or land ownership in their own right. So
Right.
that would be one hesitation I would have if there'd be some way to find the slave owner lineage and get them to pay reparations. Then we might have a conversation, but the fact that the general white Southerner in this country today, if they have a sin towards Black America, it's not necessarily slave ownership. It's maybe just for racist attitudes and Jim Crow type law systems that they voted for and lived in and
here's the
seem to
problem.
enjoy.
Okay, here's the issue with that,
But it
though.
doesn't seem like their sin against Black America is slave ownership. So that's my hesitation. What you got,
Right.
Tariq?
Okay, so the thing about that is that the United States government, the entire government, sanctioned and protected slavery, and they made sure that we couldn't get out of it. It was the entire government, which encompasses all of the white people. So they can't say it was just the slave owners. The entire citizenry of this government participated, and they benefited from the slavery that the government sanctioned. So this is the U.S. government as a collective. So the government is on the hook. So the government is going to have to pay. They can't opt out. Well, I didn't do it. Look, me, I didn't push red Native Americans off their reservations or their homes. I didn't take their land, but my tax dollars have to go to them. You understand? And in fact, not only that, many Native American tribes actually owe black people because they were enslaving us. So we don't get no money from them, but my tax dollars has to go to pay for these casinos that I can't even benefit from. You see? I didn't put any Japanese people in camps. Nobody in my family did that. The U.S. government did it. And guess whose tax dollars had to pay for that? Mine. So it's going to be the same thing with reparations. They can't say, well, I didn't own a slave. It don't work like that. You're in this government. You're a part of the government, and the government owes. And we have to be compensated from the United States government. That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. But I guess my other question, it feels like the question itself is a little redundant because I think Black America in some way is already getting reparations.
How in the hell so?
With social services like welfare and the security of a police state, with policies like affirmative action, and with the creation of the infrastructure of public school systems, public waterworks, public sanitation services at the end of slavery and especially at the end of Jim Crow. Black Americans got to inherit a lot of these structures of government that they did not necessarily build. They might have played a part in building them, but you get what I mean. What was that?
What didn't we build? We actually built the entire structure of this country from scratch. What didn't we build?
So I'll give you an example. Right now in Jackson, Mississippi, the city is about 80% Black. In the past, before the end of Jim Crow, the city was about 65% white. So right now, Jackson's in the news for its debacle with their water. The piping, and
let's unpack that.
That was a system that was developed and built by white Anglo-Saxon Americans. And right now in the city, they're having problems attracting engineers and sanitation experts to stay and to fix the pipes. So that's one example. Black America got a functioning water.
Wait, slow it down, because you're just saying stuff and you're not putting it in context. The reason why the water system in that city and other cities now is messed up because of economic deprivation caused by the white supremacists who are running these towns. They are depriving Black people of the resources in order to fix the plumbing and the piping systems. We could do it. We just don't have the resources to do so. Even though there might be a majority Black city, the resources are locked in and maldistributed into white society and taken elsewhere, and then they divvy it out to us as they please. That's why there are problems. Am I correct or incorrect, sir?
Yeah, I think in this regards, you're incorrect. You could be right about other cities.
Who's controlling the money in Mississippi, sir?
So in Jackson, Mississippi, right now, the mayor controls the money for the water supply.
The mayor gets money from the governor and the entire government, the governor there. They have to allocate the money. They have to allocate the money.
So the governor gave the mayor $75 million. And this was in 2017. The mayor campaigned on fixing some of the water pipes. All right. And he contracted out the work to only Black plumbers, which created white flight from the city because the plumbers were not getting any work. And then after the work was done, the mayor believed he was defrauded by the Black contractors, and he then went and spent $25 million in litigation.
And from what I understand, the governor
for marking up their prices.
Sir, what you're saying is not correct. From what I understand, they were allocating money to the white sectors of that area. It wasn't them giving money to anybody Black, and they're having Black contractors, and you have people like Brett Favre out there getting all types of money for nothing. So there wasn't a lot of money. I don't know where you're getting that from, where there was all this money allocated to Black people. Where are you getting that?
From the mayor's own campaign page. So I don't know how to pronounce his name, Chokwe Lumbamba. He's the son of a former mayor. There's been Black Democrats in charge of Jackson, Mississippi for the last 30, 40 years. And the big problem has been...
But they're not in charge of the money. They're not in... That's been a big problem. They'll put a Black mayor. They've always done this. They'll put a Black mayor in a city, but they don't allocate money to them. They're just not giving them a blank check to do what they please. a lot of that money from the state, it's given to white areas, and they'll put that black mayor there, and they're not allocating that money to them. That's just not true, sir. I don't know where you're getting that from.
All right, Tariq, with respect, I don't know how your government runs in your city, but most city governments operate their water budgets based on utility payments.
Mm-hmm.
A functioning city will receive water bills, and a lot of the bill is paid for the actual water, but a small percentage of it goes to the upkeep, the maintenance, and the recreation of new pipes to new neighborhoods in the city, as well as the replacement of old and dilapidating pipes. So that's
Mm-hmm.
not a Mississippi governor question. That is are the citizens of Jackson, Mississippi paying their bills? A lot of them are. The city gets the money, and in the past 10, 15 years, Jackson, Mississippi has been mismanaging the money that they've been received. And that problem is compounded because a lot of really intelligent sanitation engineers are not willing to move to Jackson, Mississippi. I'm from a small town in Georgia, and we have a similar problem. And our city is 80% white, so it's not entirely a race problem. But a lot of Americans just
It
don't
boils
want to
down to
live in small, know-nothing towns. And Jackson, Mississippi has a much richer history than my town. But I'm just trying to show you how it's not just a black
it,
problem,
it,
but it
it, it's a
is.
black problem, because when black people move in, when black people are in these areas, there's white flight. And when they do the white flight thing, they take the tax base with them, they take the resources with them. And then that creates deprivation, which in turns create ghettos. That's what ghettos are. They're creations of white supremacy. They're taking the money. They did it to Detroit. They did it to a lot of other urban areas. They just take the economic base out and do a scorched earth campaign, and then blame the black people for the scorched earth. That's called white
Right, but I
supremacy.
don't think it's like there's this conspiracy guy that's convincing white Americans to move away. I think it's an
It
organic
is.
movement where after.
It's a culture. It's a part of white supremacist culture. It's not a god. It's just a part of white
Well,
supremacist
no,
culture.
I think I'm white. I think you can maybe have picked that up, but I have recognized that there's two distinct cultures of Black America, and one type, at least in my demographic, is very very good to get with. They are great friends. They're great business partners. A lot of them are very ambitious. They come from great mothers and fathers, and we don't see eye to eye about everything, but we could still have a camaraderie, so to speak. And
Hmm.
there's another type that doesn't seem to like me all that much. And so I could see how maybe my grandparents and parents and uncles wanted to just have their peace and quiet and move away from a people group that doesn't like them all that much. Um,
Now why wouldn't a certain group of black people like your family during the Jim Crow era? Why wouldn't they like you?
they could have had bad experiences with the general white population and have attributed that to my people. But the same goes back. I mean, right now in this country, there's a crime rate that is 8 to 10 to sometimes 13 times higher in Black communities than for Caucasian communities.
And why is
And so
that?
there's the
And
similar
why is that?
dynamic
Why,
of.
wait, let's stop. Let's slow it down. So why are black people, why is the crime rate so high? Where, to be honest, the crime rate actually is higher than white society. But the thing is, because of white supremacy, there's a certain immunity of law. You don't get charged with crimes in white society. That's part of the deal of white supremacy. So white people commit crimes all the time. They just don't get charged, punished, or arrested for it. You understand?
Right, I don't want to really debate that point so much
It's not
because
even anything to debate. For
well, I
example,
would I
Jeffrey
would think
Dahmer.
on homicide.
For
Homicide is a
example,
very you
the
can't
Jeffrey
you can't
Dahmers.
cheat
Hold,
or
slow,
lie about homicide.
let's slow it down a little bit. For example, the Jeffrey Dahmers. There's a bunch of Jeffrey Dahmers within your community who get to do crimes for decades under the radar. Nobody does anything to them. Right now, there's a serial killer out there in Kansas City that they just caught, and they haven't even charged him with murder. You see, so your community, they kind of get away with more stuff, you see. But go ahead, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, all right. So, I mean, just the question: how many white homicide victims were there last year, and how many black homicide victims were there last year?
Hmm. Well, the thing
That
is,
that'd be the answer to the question because there's going to be tragic cases where there's white psychopaths, there's the white school shooters, but in terms of sheer numbers, how many whites, how many Latinos, how many Asians, and how many blacks were victims of homicide last year, there's
Well,
going to be the least.
the question is how many were reported as homicides, because there are a lot of black people who are killed and they're actually killed by white people, but those crimes are never solved. There are black people who are murdered, they're murdered by white people, and those crimes just mysteriously never get solved. So when a black person gets killed, they just chop it up as, hey, just another part of black on black crime, allegedly, and they don't even know who the killers are. So again, there's a lot of
Right, right.
homicides that white people commit against black people that's not even labeled as homicide.
All
You
right, so
see?
then my question for you, you've just said that there's a dynamic where whites are fleeing areas where they have to share space with black Americans. So how can there be two simultaneous trends where whites are fleeing black Americans while at the same time having all these mysterious killings of neighborhoods and cities that are now 90% or 80% black in the form of ghettos that you just said
Right.
are reality? That seems
Because
to be
it's
my confusion.
you shouldn't be confused because it's almost like a ritual where white people, well, for example, I give you an example. You guy Kyle Rittenhouse, who's a hero of white supremacy. Kyle Rittenhouse went over there to what's that, Kenosha?
Kenosha, yeah.
Yeah, he was going to go. He was going to hunt black people, which is what a lot of white supremacists do. These white militia groups, they go to these cities and under the cover of night or under the cover of protest, they hunt black people. They go out here and do drive-bys, and this is why, especially in Chicago, this is very common in Chicago. So they do a lot of these killings and go under the radar. A lot of them do it ritualistically. A lot of them do it in order to become a part of white supremacist groups and white supremacist gangs. And that's very common and it's not talked about openly. And he was going over there to kill black people, but he ended up killing white people who were protecting black people. And he became a
No, I think
yeah,
Kyle is like the definition of an anti-racist. He
stop,
killed two
stop,
white
stop,
people.
stop,
He shot
stop,
it.
stop, stop, stop. Let's not do that. Don't do that. Don't just go into full bad faith arguments. Don't do that. Because I'm trying to have some decorum with you. But don't do that though. Don't insult everybody's intelligence with that. So let's not go there. If you do that, we're just going to have to end the conversation. You got to
All
keep the
right, I can
conversation.
respect that. I
There
can
you just keep
respect
it in
that.
good faith. Don't do no Fox News talking point bullshit. Now I won't even respect the conversation after that. So let's keep it real player. But I'm just giving you my point. How a lot of white supremacists will commit these crimes and go back to their own neighborhoods. It's like a hunting thing. That's why a lot of them join the police. They get to hunt black people. You know, that's like a big prize within white supremacist society. You kill somebody with impunity. You know, that's a godlike endeavor to engage in. But
Yeah,
again,
I think you're right about that impulse.
yeah, yes, indeed. But anyway, so to wrap it up, so reparations, again, we've explained that the whole entire government is responsible for giving reparations to Foundation of Black Americans. And if we're giving money to people who are non-citizens, why shouldn't we give it to black people for a debt that's owed, right?
Right, yeah, I think that makes sense. But I think a lot of people in the conservative camp would say rather we should stop the money going to non-citizens.
But they haven't
And
stopped it. They haven't stopped it. They might say it, but they haven't done anything about it, and they haven't had any real pushback. All of this
right,
money going to the
really, Trump was the only
Ukrainians,
one.
right? All of this money going to the Ukrainians. Ain't nobody really pushing back. The only pushback that we see from the dominant society is when it's our turn to get what's owed. That's the only time we see pushback. But nobody's complaining about money going to Asian groups. Nobody's complaining about money going to Afghanistan. Nobody complains about the billions of dollars going to the Ukrainians. But the minute we start talking about getting what's ours, hey, that's a bridge too far. And no, it's not. That's a bridge that
Right,
we have to cross, right?
right, right. So I got to go soon, but I want to give you one. I guess you asked me first if I have a hesitation, but I'll give you my one for reparations. And it's
Yes.
more like the Confederate perspective. But the majority of black slaves during the Civil War actually continued working throughout the entire war. Some actually fought for the Confederate side, with the hopes of maybe getting their personal freedom after the war, should the
Let's slow
Confederates
down.
win.
Slow down. Let's slow down with that, because black people were not allowed to fight in the Confederate Army. They were very adamant about black people not being allowed to actually fight. So you had Confederates who owned black people, who they tagged along. They brought their slaves with them, but saying that they fought in the Confederacy. No, these were people who were enslaved, and they had to kind of follow their masters to a certain degree. Now, there were black people who chose to fight for the Union, black people who broke free from the South and took on the side of the Union. And that's what stopped the Confederacy from winning. It was black people fighting for the Union that actually won the Civil War. So shout out to those foundational Black American brothers. But go ahead.
Right. Yeah, so I guess we agree but disagree on the terms. That's what I was describing, that black slaves followed their masters and worked. But I'm more interested in that the Southern economy would have been much worse had every black every black slave just stopped working at the beginning of the war. They would be impoverished. Every family in the South. I mean, the war could have been over much quicker because of just lack of food and lack of stability. But the point stands that so many black slaves continued to work until the very end of the war, and some it took months for the final declaration of the war's over for them to actually recognize they're now free Americans. And so I think there's a Confederate argument for reparations, that so many black slaves, by their work, by their loyalty towards a broken system, they made the South a little bit better standing after the end of the war. And it's work that they did. It's work that, if we could put a minimum wage price tag on it, it's worth $50,000 to $200,000 a person, depending on how much productivity that it produced. And that was work done for the South, done for the historical land of Black Americans, where most Black Americans still live today, and where most Black Americans have a lot of their family and generational roots.
But the North
So
benefited. But the North benefited from it just as much as the South, right?
that's correct, as well
Right.
as Europe. Europe bought Southern cotton.
Slavery started in the North. That was a New England endeavor at first. It started in the North. There are slave plantations now in New York. Sylvester Manor over there on Long Island. I mean, they still got slave plantations now. So it was a northern endeavor too. The North tries to weasel their way out of it, like they weren't up. No, 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 no.
Right.
The North was knee deep into slavery. They profited from it. All of the factories were built because of the money generated from slave labor. The railroad system that went up to New York and helped build New York, that was from slave labor. They had people working for the railroad system who were enslaved by the railroad company. So yeah, all of them, the entire company, the entire country is on the hook. You feel me?
All right. Yeah.
My man.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, it's a good talk. Thank you for being respectful. I think you got a good thing going here. You mute me when you want to get your point across.
Yeah, I didn't want you to start getting
into
into I didn't when you started getting into some of that Fox News bullshit. No. Let's bring it back, because the conversation is going respectful, but let's not start talking about some Kyle Rittenhouse ain't no racist. No, we ain't. I'm not going to even entertain no shit like that. But everything else was good. All right. So let's always keep the conversations in good faith. I can deal with a good faith conversation any day. But thank you so much, man. Appreciate your input, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll step off.
There you go. All right. So that's how we do a conversation, you see. So now he's seeing the light to a certain degree, I think. He's seeing the light. This is how we discuss reparations. This is how, when we talk about reparations, let's talk about it for real. Let's talk about the pros and cons and who owes and who doesn't owe. And this is how we're supposed to discuss it. Let's discuss this thing logically. Now, when he tried to do all of that, well, Kyle Rittenhouse, I think he's not a racist. No. You're about to lose me. Bring that bullshit back. Let's bring it on back. Let's not start talking crazy. But I think the conversation was good. And I think he saw the light at the end of the day. So we got to have real sensible, respectful conversations about it. And we have to understand history, because they'll try to throw this historic stuff out and tell a half truth. So we have to bring that thing back. But anyway, guys, the Rally for Reparations is happening next Saturday, Washington, D.C. We want to see everybody in the place. Go to rallyforreparations.com. Use the hashtag Rally for Reparations, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Everybody go get your t-shirt. The official t-shirts are at rallyforreparations.com. Do that. And if everybody can throw a donation on the page, that would be spiffy, ladies and gentlemen. I see you, Teslin. Teslin is going to be there. Brother Reza Islam is going to be there. Boyce Watkins, James Small, Connie Collins, my sister Jade, she's going to be the co-host. Me, Tariq Nasheed, Brother Greg, Marcel Dixon. We got some thorough people. It's going to be a phenomenal event next Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, man, let me get out of here. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Puppy Akute and Lola Vuve to the family.